Andrew freestyle. Let's go. Drop the beat. Well, we're back once again. The Together We Rise podcast, where we bring on ordinary people that do extraordinary things.
Okay.
You feel me? We got a brother of mine, somebody I've known for a long, long time here to my left. Somebody that we have talked about podcasts in the past. I was going through our text messages.
Oh my God. That was years ago.
Years ago, we're like, dude, like you should hop on my podcast. And he's saying you should start a podcast. So before I ever thought about a podcast, he was implanting this, what we have here, into my brain. Manifestation. So I want to give a big shout out to him. But before that, let's run off some things that this man has done. He's been on the Late Late Show with James Corden. He's gone all the way to the PI, a.k.a. the Philippines, and done a Netflix special with Jo Koy. He's the light, the new era of comedy. My brother, my man, Andrew Orolfo.
Was good.
Okay.
What's up, everybody?
That
was nice. Yeah,
I kind of want to come in the office and you do that for me. You walk in.
That was very nice.
Like with smoke.
How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Can I just say this? Can I say y'all the coolest looking realtors I've ever seen in my life?
Let's get it.
This is crazy.
You came out today.
I just can't step in.
This is different.
Yeah.
Y'all look like you close deals at Temple. You know what I'm saying? Over bottle service. This is so nice.
This might be one of the most enjoyable ones we have. Right. I feel it.
The fact of the matter is that some of us may have worked at those clubs at one point in our lives.
Yes, guilty.
That's so funny.
So you're not off by any means.
We've all been there.
But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on, bro.
Of course.
Like I said, this has been a long time coming, just conversation-wise about podcast, period.
Mm-hmm.
And we love to bring people from our community, from the Bay Area, specifically more so, I'd say like the East Bay Area, people that are killing it, crushing it, doing their damn thing. And you're one of those people that, I've known that you had the passion and drive for comedy. I would show up to those shows early on, downtown Walnut Creek in the amphitheater.
Yeah.
Anytime you asked me, I would try to show up if I could. And I just seen this journey of yours explode into what you're doing now. So it's sick to see. Thank you. From moments when I'm sitting on the patio at Saddle Ranch and then you're walking by on the street. I'm like, dude, that's
one of my favorite like LA moments, because that's when I had just moved there. Like,
you were literally like saying, like, I'm looking to like get an apartment or something.
Yeah. I was just like walking down the street and I see Blaine just chilling, eating like some barbecue, like some spot.
I'm like, what's good?
Yeah, it was great.
That's great.
So, but how? That's speaking of your early time in LA, but like, let's go before that. How did your journey come to where you are now? Like, where did this start? Your love, or comedy in general? What was that? What did that look like for you and your brain?
Can I bring this up before I forget or move on? I was listening to Abdullah's episode.
Yeah.
And me and him had a very similar, like, high school experience about the clothes.
Right.
Because I, too, went to that store and got stuff. And I'm not saying, like, the business went out of business because of that, but we definitely contributed. 1,000%. I don't think he mentioned this in his in the pod, but because he would get, I don't remember what he said, but he would get it, like, whatever. Our family owned it.
Yeah.
Right? But he was like a kid.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, we weren't really getting hooked up. It's just like, he was like giving us stuff. And then he just found out the way to like, just take it off inventory.
That's like giving you stuff.
Yeah. He gave us stuff.
Erased it from the inventory?
Yeah.
Like,
because we're kids in hindsight.
Be my friend.
Yeah.
You're cool. Take this. Yeah. Here's a trash bag full of shit.
Yeah, but me and Abdullah had similar kind of thing where we would sell clothes.
Right.
I don't know if I ever sold you jeans. Did you ever?
I may have bought some like LRG jeans off here or something.
Yes. Okay, so in high school, that's like my first kind of job.
Yeah.
Was not that store, but I don't want to name the person, but he produced all the slapping in the trunks.
Yeah.
In Berkeley. Remember that store?
Yep.
And he used to hang out with like a few of my friends.
Right.
And then he offered me a job, but I was like 16, 15, 16. So I couldn't like BART to Berkeley and work at the shop. So he'd basically take me to this warehouse where he'd give me like designer jeans, and then like I'd pay him for it, and then I'd sell them like around school at like a Northgate.
That's called entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's called
That's
a business.
that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
Job. That was a business.
Yeah, I had my like I took pictures of the jeans and I would put them on MySpace,
Dude.
and people would hit me up.
Legendary.
And real
trailblazer. Right.
yeah, I mean it was all illegal, but it's
Right.
okay. I don't think this was legal. You know, I don't think I'm allowed to do this.
It's
when
what
I'm
everybody
like
does
16.
now. It's what,
Those are the good old days where
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
didn't matter back then. We could do whatever we want.
Yeah, because I remember one time, I don't know if you were there at the time, but the janitors at our school, I would sell them jeans.
Pat?
No, the other one.
Hella fitted janitors.
The-
So
LRG.
he's gonna reference if I was there because we did go to high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did.
okay.
Yeah, we grew up
Gotcha,
together.
gotcha.
So
Yeah. Yeah, some of the janitors I sold jeans to, and then one year,
janitors.
yeah, because it was like
you remember Pat?
Yeah,
He was just like,
Yeah.
like the whole time. He's like, hey man, you rushed for 200 yards, man. He's like, yo, Orolfo, go do a kickflip down the 10 stair, man.
yeah. It might have been Pat actually, but yeah, it was like LRG, Evisu, Red Monkey. I would
Those
get
are
all
the times,
yeah.
dude.
Oh god, all the colorful like patterns and stuff.
Right.
And then I would just I would sell it to the janitors. And one time I got in like a bunch of trouble to where I had to do like 125 hours of community
Oh
service.
shit! For selling the janitors?
No.
clothes?
Just for like, I was just like, I'm just like a bad driver, and I'm just like not good at it. So I got in a lot of trouble for like just traffic violations and not paying tickets
God,
or whatever.
that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I had to do 125 hours of community service. So I just went to the janitor and I was like, hey yo, if I give you like 5 pairs of jeans, will you just sign off on these community service hours? And he did it.
Say less.
I turned it into the clerk, and they're like, okay, cool.
That's cool.
He's like 190 hours, 4 days.
How'd you do this? Well, I was sleeping there.
That's lit. That's hella lit.
Good for you.
That's awesome.
So entrepreneur spirit out the gate.
Yeah,
Out the
just
gate.
out the gate.
Just
with that.
completely aligning with
I'm with that,
what
yeah.
you know, with what we do.
We all have stories like that.
Exactly.
It's downhill ever since, honestly.
So that's how you that was your first job basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Business.
That was your first business. That's your first way of getting money, is basically getting these jeans, selling them out the trunk, real independent rap star style, out the trunk, trying to get your records off, aka your jeans. And then what translated after that? Like, obviously me knowing you, I know you were a dope skateboarder. You were a part of a skateboard clique in our area. Shout out to TOS, the Overshow.
So your brother was a
Yeah,
part
so
of
my brother was in that. And so I realized, later on in our life, we can fast forward a little bit. We're like kicking it, say downtown with another one of our friends, Sheldon, Jenny Johansson. And this is kind of where I realized, this is when you're getting into comedy.
Right.
Right? Is that like kind of the...
Yeah, I started 2012.
Okay.
So I was 21.
I was
You're
spot on.
spot on, yeah.
I was trying to think. I was like, because I was doing music and we were like exchange, like, okay, how do we get bigger? You're like, I'm doing this to go do comedy shows at frats and stuff like that. So go ahead.
Random little bars and stuff. Yeah, I started at 2012, and it was just me like, at that time for a couple of years, it was just open mics.
Well,
Right.
like
A long ass
why?
time.
Like before we even go, like what made you even want to do that? Because that's not like stand up, first of all, is like one of the hardest.
Probably the most intimidating,
like,
especially
in my
entertainer-wise.
opinion. Yeah, like,
might be the most intimidating.
because I can go up
one.
and give like a speech or like a presentation, but to make people laugh while you're doing it is not
easy.
Were you always the funny kid?
No,
No?
never. No, I've always been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you've known me
Yeah.
for a year. I've always been pretty quiet. And I would say all my friends around me growing up were way funnier than me. But I think I was just someone who's just like not afraid to just lose,
Right.
I just like didn't care.
Yeah.
So, and then once it's kind of like that thing when you're like not afraid to die. Everything's
like
like
doing a 10
fine,
stair.
Yeah.
10 stair
Yeah,
kickflip.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's probably had a lot to play in it too. Like,
yeah, maybe.
I
Yeah.
eat shit on this. I got to get up and then can I do it again?
Yeah.
Until you do it.
Yeah, so I wasn't afraid to like, in the sense, take like a beating. It was just like whatever. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die someday. This is easy. This is fine. And then once you start doing it, you just learn like the tricks, and you just get more comfortable. And it's
what was it
all
about
of you
comedy?
Can do it.
Like, what was
all
it
of you
about
can
comedy
do it.
that like drew you? Like other than there's tons of things you can do.
To be honest, I didn't even know about stand-up comedy till I started doing it. It was kind of weird. It's not that exciting, but
like, get up there, and you're like, all right,
exactly.
I'll get up there.
That's exactly kind of how it was. I used to work at this skate shop in the Sun Valley Mall, and my manager of the shop, he started doing it in college, and then he moved back to work at the store, and then he was like, "Hey, I was doing open mics in San Diego. Now I'm back here, and I kind of want to do them here. Do we all want to go as like a group?" I think it was just so he can like not be as nervous.
Yeah.
You know?
Not lonely in
Yeah,
the back.
not lonely. Yeah.
Like,
So,
these people will laugh for me.
yeah.
Is he still doing comedy?
No, he's actually a realtor now. Yeah.
Everything.
But shouts out to him. He started Dan Myers. He started
Dan
my
Myers.
whole thing. But yeah, we all went as like, I think it was like 5 of us at the store. We were working. We closed up, and then we were like, for an hour we went to somebody's house, and we were like, let's write some stuff. And it was all bullshit. It was all bad. And then we go to Tommy T's.
This is what I was going to ask.
Tommy T's. That was my first ever open mic in Pleasanton. Shout out
Johnny Thomas, Jen Thomas, and Tommy.
all of them. And we signed up. We all went up, and I don't think it was fine enough for me. Like I didn't do good at all. But in my mind, it was like I wasn't the worst. So I was like, okay, this is kind of fun.
Sure.
And then he went again the next week, and then I went with him. And everybody else was like, nah, we're good off that. We're good. And then I went up again, tried like all different stuff, and it was awful.
Do you remember any of those first jokes that were just, you're like, they will never make the set now? Or do any of them live on?
No, none of them lived on. No way.
What was awful? When you say it's awful, like, are you talking about just the whole experience for you, or just your response from the crowd?
Both. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
It
was just, I didn't get any. I got barely any laughs, if any.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
They were just like,
Yeah. And I was like a kid, you know, so I was like, damn, this sucks.
What age was that?
21.
21, okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, let me step back, let me reevaluate. And then I think that was in like February or something of 2012, and then sat out for like till August. And I ended up getting a new job, and then I went back, did it again, and was like, okay, this is more fun.
Getting
like,
better.
Yeah, I wasn't getting better, but I was like,
you were enjoying it more.
I was enjoying
yourself.
it more.
Were you like studying comedy like during that time? Were you like studying people?
Yeah. So as soon as I did the first mic, I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. Because I had no reference of anything.
Sure.
Starting out, I think my only reference was like Kevin Hart. Because he was like, that's what he was starting to pop off in like 2012. And
Cat Williams.
Yeah. But then I started trying to emulate him, I guess, because he was the only person I knew.
Yeah.
Which now looking back, that's like ridiculous.
I was like, yeah, because your guys' styles are completely different.
Yeah, no.
Like,
but it's like I just didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know. You're like,
I didn't know.
If you're gonna look to somebody, look to the best, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I watched that, and then I went and saw a couple of people at like the Punchline and Cobb's, and then I got back up, and I was like, okay. I watched a bunch of people or listened on Pandora, and I found these people who were like, oh, I mean, I guess I can do that. Like,
Right.
I don't have to be like Kevin Hart. So then I went back, and then I did Tommy T's again, but then it kind of changed because at that mic, I was with another person, and they were like, oh, we're going to go hit another mic after this. And then that blew my mind. I was like, wait, you can do like 2? Like, you don't got to go home after that? So then turns out like when you keep going, it's like, oh, you trying to do like 3 or 4 or 5 in a night.
Oh, really?
That's what I've heard about like some of the comedy stuff,
you're
like in
starting
New
out,
York and
yeah.
stuff. Like they just hit different comedy clubs.
Yeah, New York is great. New York's probably like the best to do that because everything's like
Saturated, right? It's like all condensed.
It's all condensed,
Yeah.
so you can do a spot, walk like 2 blocks, do another spot, and there's so many people in that city. It's like it's gonna be different.
Open later, so you probably got more time, right?
Yeah. But in the Bays, it's totally fine if you don't mind like driving or just staying in San Francisco. You could do like realistically, you could probably do 3 a night open mics, and then if you really like go hard and like, I remember one time I did 6 in one night, and that was like me going from like Concord, then to Oakland, then to San Francisco for like 2, and then driving all the way to like San Jose and then Santa Cruz.
Oh my God,
in one night. Yeah, and that happened a few times.
There's no, you can't.
You would never hear that though,
right?
Like you don't hear that.
You don't.
I would never.
First off,
and also you're not getting paid.
Yeah, one question I have about that is do you do the same set all 6 of those shows?
Probably most of it.
Like, right, and then
just because you want to get it down.
Yeah.
But then depending on the situation,
on the crowd, right?
Yeah, you might start doing crowd work and going at somebody's head.
I love crowd work.
It's amazing.
To me, it's like my favorite.
I'll tell you what. One of his
set.
shows, one of the buddies that I was backstage with them in the beginning, and I came and sat down. I was there to support. It was like you, I think Mark was on it as well. Yeah. It was downtown Walnut Creek, and then one of your other friends. And I was talking back, so I think he was familiar with my face, so he sought me out in the crowd, and he started doing his crowd work on me. And this is when I had my man bun. I was like, I'm probably pretty wide, easy target, you know? And then I was just like, I didn't know what to do. Yeah. He was like mad that like
You didn't engage.
I didn't engage.
Like, I was that
guy. I was just like kind of getting red and hot. And I was like, I'm just like sitting there like, all right, bro. Like,
you're like, I'm actually mad.
Yeah, like
I'm actually mad.
And I was like, that's my first experience of being the work. I was getting the work.
That's something that I definitely do get a little antsy about when I go to comedy shows. Like, are they gonna
come at? They're gonna come at me.
Yeah, they're gonna come at me. Yeah. So is there always you just know someone's gonna be in the crowd saying some stupid shit? Or
honestly, for me, that it rarely ever happens. I don't really put that kind of energy out there. I'm pretty like chill on stage, so I rarely ever get heckled like that. And I don't do crowd work that often, not because I don't want to. It's just that nothing.
Right.
Like when I get up there, no one. I don't know if people are like feel sorry for me or something like that.
I think I'm just scarred by the Nutty Professor.
Right, but people are like, people just like listen to what I say, and like I don't know if they're like, let's not hurt this poor young man, you know. Just let him live. Like, he's so quiet.
Like if you you go up there, you've never been like this, like I'm gonna rip your head off presence.
Exactly.
Like you're very chill. Like if somebody like me go up there, somebody's probably like, oh, this guy,
right?
You know, like
this
alpha energy, like crazy guy. They're probably gonna try to come at me.
Well, I've watched your stuff, and you have like more of a dry sense of humor, which I appreciate. Sure. You know, it's not like a raunchy or like really like flamboyant sense of humor. So I think maybe I don't know that maybe that has something to do with it. But
I think so.
I like that stuff.
Yeah, I don't have that energy where it's like you want to yell at me. You know?
Right.
You kind of just want to like, what does this guy got to say?
Well, I think you as a kid, even it's like you said, you were more so like a quiet person, but when you said things, you like if they were funny or anything, it's like you're saying something that hits.
Yeah, right.
You're waiting for like you're not just gonna just talk to talk. You know?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna say something funny because it's like we needed this. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And that's kind of what I get of your persona when you're on stage too.
Yeah, a lot of people like confuse that for me being shy, and it's like I'm not shy. I just don't want to like talk to you.
I just want to talk to you.
You know, it's like I can't. Yeah. If it's like if people think I'm shy, it's like no, I can like have a conversation. I just like not with you. You know.
Yeah, right.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
So you're doing all these open mics. You're super committed. You're not getting paid, but you loved it, obviously. And then, so when did like the tides start to turn where you started getting like some notoriety, or did you get like a mentor? Like what happened from there?
Yeah, no, I was just doing it for so long, like open mics. Because when you're doing open mics for a while, you're seeing a lot of the same people. Like not the crowd, but like your peers around you. Because you're seeing like anywhere from like 30 at least on a lineup, like on the sign up sheet, it's at least like 20 to 60 people trying to just like do their thing, you know. And out of those people, some of them are like also running shows. So eventually people saw me from the open mics and were like, hey, I actually have this show. Do you want to do the show? And then you get introduced to other people who aren't at the open mics, who also run shows.
So that's like the networking part of the business, right?
Yeah, so you like do these open mics, and then you eventually level up to where you don't have to do the mics anymore, because you're just constantly just doing book shows, and you're getting paid now. But it's like like $5 to like anywhere from like $5 to like $50,
right?
Just to do these small shows. Sure. But yeah, it kind of clicked when like stand up was the only thing in my life where I was like not good or just like bad or inexperienced, but I wanted to fix it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's never happened to me for anything else. You know, like when you're in school, like for me at least, when I was in school, I would be in math class and I'd just do the bare minute, get that 70, you know, just so I pass. And I was like, never like, how do we make it at least a 75? I was just like, nah, 70. We hit that. That's all we need. And and that was like every class, you know? But then stand up, I was like, okay, I'm at like a 70. How can I make it a 75?
Right.
How can I make it an 80? And I think that's when I knew I was like, this is what I want to do. This is something I actually felt I could get better at and wanted to get better.
You had the passion to get better.
I have a question for you. So we had Shayna on here. She talked a lot about being Filipino in the industry and like coming from a Filipino family, being a creative.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, being a creative in your family when, you know, a lot of Filipino families are be a nurse? You know, how was that for you? I
think it was kind of nice because both my parents didn't do anything, so it was kind of cool. you know what I mean? Like, there was no pressure. I think I'm like one of the, not like, I'm not saying like I'm special or something, but my family was always like very supportive and like they messed up. Like they split up when I was like 12, and it was like not the easiest. I didn't care. It was fine. It was just not the easiest for them.
Right.
So they were like, it was a lot of like having money and then all of a sudden being like broke, like very broke. So it was like very rough on like me and my sister, but like I'm a very easy person to deal with. Sure. But they were like, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. So after that, it was kind of like, we messed up. We're going to let you just do your thing. Right. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was very lucky and unlucky at the same time. You know?
There's a silver lining in that a little bit, right?
Yeah. So they've always been very supportive. They're like my number one fans for sure.
That's dope. Yeah. So I was kind of talking about this other day, and I was watching another comedian, big comedian now in the space of comedy, is Drewski, right?
Yeah.
So there's two ways that I believe comics can come up, right? Mm-hmm. There's kind of that skit, internet type comedian, and he had this conversation with Kevin Hart, and he said, you know, stop being a bitch. Kevin Hart said that to Drewski, and he was backstage at like one of his shows, and Drewski's like, wait, why? Yeah. Like what? Like what? And then Kevin Hart, like funnily, he seemed serious, but I guess in that space, like Kevin can do that. So like he like walked past him, and Drewski's like, why? Like what? And then he realized it was like, oh, because Kevin's saying like, hop up on stage and try this, what like the GOATs did, right? Try this. So for me, watching you went the route of, I would say maybe a traditional.
I would say the harder
route, and I don't know, they're probably both hard, but you went the traditional route of comedy, right?
Right.
Of boots on the ground, going to open mics, doing this, doing that, and paving your way to climb that ladder on stage, right?
Right.
Which I respect the hell out of being a musician. That's kind of like I was telling you guys. That's how I felt like I could have tried to get popping on the internet or like go to all these shows and get on tour and sell merch and do, listen to my song. Okay, Blaine, you could be the MC tonight. Okay, you could do one song, and then it snowballed, right?
Yeah, right.
You, as a comedian, you did those 6 shows a night, 3 shows a night, driving everywhere, going places, doing it that way. And I think that's the way like the Richard Pryors did it, right?
Yeah.
The Chris Rocks.
Yeah.
So I want to give my flowers to you for doing that. That's fucking crazy. Yeah. But what made you choose that route? Like what? Because you could have, you were in the social media era of humans. Like you were selling jeans on MySpace, so you knew how to use the internet, right? What made you go that way, or was like oblivious? You just
when I first, like 2012, I want to say like the real digital era of like stand up was very recent. I feel like posting clips on IG Reels and like when like TikTok and like stuff came out.
The last 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 years. So like I I'm doing that now.
Would you say you
I
were
was
the
doing
last probably batch of comedians that were coming up that didn't have access to that to launch their business?
Yeah, maybe.
Or their brand, right?
Maybe. I mean, we could have done like YouTube. Like YouTube was still a thing, but like when TikTok Reels, Shorts came out, that's when like now comics can just do that and just pop off and tour, you know. Right. But you still want to do. I mean, you still got to do the shows,
right?
You still got to open mic and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's the foundation, right? So I mean, we talk about it in our business, right? Like you got to have a certain element of foundation, because if you don't and you hit it in a bubble, when the bubble pops and you trend down and that business isn't there just coming at you, what do you do?
What do you do?
A lot of those people in our industry haven't transacted at all in the last year. They've just been like waiting for the next one to come.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that foundation, like you're saying, is like six shows a night, that's like foundational shit.
Yeah.
Like you can go do that tonight and you wouldn't be scared. A lot of people like you're talking about, no matter how big they are, might not be able to get on stage.
Right.
But that's not saying like sketch. Like Drewski was like a lot of sketch.
Yeah.
Is it
He's
hard?
amazing.
That's hard. No, that's really
also
difficult.
very different, very hard, because it's like comedy is so crazy because there's so many different. There's like stand up, there's sketch,
Right.
Improv's also. I would say improv's way harder than stand up. Honestly, like stand up, people. I might get shit for this, but people think stand up is so hard. It's not that hard, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's hard to make your brain like think in a stand up kind of way, like writing jokes and stuff, but actually doing it is the easiest thing in the world. You're just standing there for like an hour. Not even most of the time I'm not even doing an hour. I'm doing like 10 minutes around Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So shouts out to the other forums. All of them are like pretty hard, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So where do you get like your material from? Like how is that creative process for you to like come up with material and put a set together? Like what does that look like for you?
So for me, a lot of it is personal experience, and then I'll just like exaggerate.
Right.
And then I have a specific like formula on how I like write jokes. I always write jokes in like 3 parts. I don't know why, and that's just always how my brain has been. But it's always been like something happened to me that was like funny, and then I was like, okay, let's see how I can make it translate to a wider like group of people.
Right.
Do you like bounce it off other people, or do you just go up and just say it on stage? Like
I just say it on stage. My writing style is kind of weird. I don't write anything. I've never written a joke out before. Like a lot of comics will do that. Like write it word for word, and that works for a lot of people. Mine, I just like write down like a few words on like what the joke is about, just like 2-3 words.
You're the Lil Wayne of comedy, dude.
That's nice.
He's all He's like, I don't write nothing down. He's like, that's nice.
I'll OD on some.
Yeah.
But then I'll write like the name of the joke or whatever to help me remember the premise, and then I'll write like Roman numerals after it, like 1, 2, 3, just because I know
regular numbers don't do it for you.
It doesn't look. No, there's something about a Roman numeral that just looks fire.
I'm sophisticated. Yeah. I'm from ancient Rome, bro. Yeah. I'm in the gladiator arena. Yeah,
but the Roman numerals are just like points that I know where the punchline is.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so for me, because I get bored really easily in my brain, so if I'm writing everything word for word, I'm like, oh, this is boring. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So this it's kind of I trick myself into being like, oh, this is spontaneous, because I actually don't know what I'm gonna hit next, but I do. You know what I mean? I don't write it out because it makes it more official to me that it's gonna come.
It's authentic. It's not like you're reading it like
exactly.
Like, so I'm a robot.
Yeah. So if I see like, okay, I know I got to hit something here, I better remember what it is.
Right.
Like, are you referencing something on stage, or are you just
sometimes depending if I'm like working on new stuff?
Got it.
Like
okay.
it all depends on the situation. Like if I'm getting like paid and then I have to like perform, then I won't. But if I'm just like, because I run a show every Wednesday in LA, and that's basically my gym. Because I host it.
So you're getting up your shots.
Yeah, and the audience that comes, they know me, they know who I am, and it's mostly for the people I book. I'm like, come do a spot, you get paid, whatever. But then for me, it's like it's a gym. I'm just there. I'm like I'm hosting, but I have my phone or notes, and I'm just like reading off. And then they either are with it and they help me out. They're like, you know, by like sometimes they'll like help me out by like giving me like a tag, or I'll change it one week and then I'll do it again the next week, and then people will be like, oh, I like the way you did it last week better. You know, something like that. It's like, because we got regulars that come in and stuff like that, and I built up a thing to where I can mess around.
It's like your community.
Yeah. They won't hate me.
That's awesome. Where is your show on Wednesday?
Cucina Filipina.
Okay.
Filipino restaurant in Eagle Rock.
Okay.
Cucina Filipina.
Yeah.
Cocina Filipina.
Pop out there on Wednesdays, folks.
Every Wednesday.
Yeah, no, my sister, shout out her. She works she does like a lot of the digital marketing for Yamashiro, which is like a big sushi Japanese restaurant in Hollywood Hills, and they do a comedy night.
Oh, okay.
Every week.
So you're booked.
I should check that out. Yeah.
You're booked.
There you go.
Definitely. I'll take all the bookings.
Yeah.
No, they had like, she said like they had like a crazy night last week where like randomly like Tiffany Haddish like popped like like
that's cool.
That's the cool thing about comedy is I see these people everywhere. Like, I'm on shows with like, because it's people will be like, oh, these people are so famous, but in the end they're just comedians at heart, so they'll take anything. Like even just for fun. Like Jo Koy pops into my show all the time. He's just like. I'll hit him up and be like, hey, if you need a spot tonight, like come through, and then he'll just like come through in his Ferrari to this little tiny Filipino restaurant.
He's like, Andrew, I really like the food, but fine, I'll get up there. Okay, So let's take that segue. I think it's a perfect transition into that moment. But like before that, you did the James Corden thing. So. Was that because you were promoting that album with all the was it the back of your heads or both of your friends? It was the back of all your guys' heads. What is the title of that?
Junior Varsity.
Junior Varsity.
And that we titled it at that time because none of us had anything. Like we were kind of.
So you guys weren't on varsity.
We were. That was the whole point of it. Because at the time none of us. We had been doing comedy. I think. Maybe 6 years in or 7 years in, I don't remember.
So just stand-up shows.
We had our own shows. We had like, because when I lived in the Bay, for years I didn't see a lot of people for years just because this takes up so much of your time, and like it's not that I didn't want to like hang out with people. It's just like I had to like I was just out, you know. So for a while I lost like a lot of friends.
You were fully committed.
Yeah, I was like I had a week when I lived in San Francisco. I had a weekly show Monday in Oakland, Tuesday in San Francisco, and Wednesday in San Francisco. So every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was doing shows, and then obviously I was booked on like the weekends. But SF, as great as a scene it is, there's limits to how far you can reach out here. And we all were, me and my group, the Pier 69 boys, we were all kind of in the same space where we were like top of like the Bay Area scene. We were like known, but none of us had anything. So we were like, well, let's just put out something. Let's put out some content. Maybe people will buy it, will like it, but let's create one thing for ourselves, just to like whatever. So we weren't varsity, so we just titled it Junior Varsity.
So fire. And the fact that you guys did the back of your guys' heads is like comical to me too, because like you think of any artist or somebody, they're like, look, it's me. It's me. And you guys are like, no, it's the fucking back of my head. Like
that was my idea.
That's fucking
don't forget it, boys. That was my idea. I also named it Pier 69.
Where did you get Pier 69 from?
We just all from like the Bay Area, so it's like Pier 39. And the 69 were just childish, you know.
But I know you and Mark are from Walnut Creek.
Yeah.
And then the other two, he's Middle Eastern.
He's Afghan.
Afghan.
I
seen him around.
I've seen him on TikTok.
Yeah.
No, I've seen him around like as like.
Okay, yeah.
Like walking
like
around.
out here, like maybe with you or something.
Sometimes,
right?
yeah. He lives in LA now.
Okay.
And then Dawood, and then Joey Avery, and then Mark.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Pier 69, you guys are like a group of people like-minded, did everything kind of in the comedic scene. You guys put together this, album or platform for you guys to listen to each one of you guys do your guys' see it, and that how did you parlay that to the Late Show?
Oh, well, I don't think it had anything
that's what just you were promoting on there.
Yeah, just that's
okay.
promoting. Yeah, it had nothing to do with the album. But
how did you do that?
Yeah, that was very random, honestly. Because in SF, there's like I said, like there's like a ceiling of what you can hit. But I was doing Sketchfest, which is a comedy festival in San Francisco, and one of the shows was an all like Asian show, and the headliner of that show, or the person who ran that show, their management was in the audience when I did the show, and then the manager who was like, "Hey, I like your stuff. Like, if you're ever in LA, like, hit me up and let's grab lunch." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I was like, "I'll be in LA in like 2 weeks." I wasn't, but I.
Classic. They'll be like, "Well, I'm gonna be now."
So I like had to be.
I got a lot of stuff going on. I could fit you in maybe 12 on Wednesdays. Does that work for you?
Yeah, and then I came to LA. We had lunch, and he was very cool. He hooked me up with like one of like the best shows in LA. He was like, "Hey, I got you a spot."
What's that? What show is that?
Hot Tub.
Okay.
In LA.
And how does that feel when you're going to Hot Tub? Are you nervous, or are you like, I'm gonna crush this?
A little bit of both, because like when you like this, like if you lived in LA.
I've spent a lot of time there, but
it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Like just
especially LA shows. Period.
Yeah. Well, just like rolling it, like I remember rolling up like younger to LA as like a young comic, just visiting, and like I would always feel my heart would just like sink, because it's just the energy in LA is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like the spotlight of entertainment.
Yeah, that's where the who's go.
Yeah,
right?
it took me like I remember rolling up past the Grapevine when I would always get like a sinking feeling.
Really?
Always, just because it's like,
all right, this could be my career.
Yeah, it took me like 7 trips to where I finally felt like, oh, I'm comfortable. I know more people now. And then
it's nerve-wracking, but it's also like excitement, right? Because your future's unwritten at that point. And going over that grapevine, once you get in there, it's like, I could potentially do something that sets this shit off.
Yeah.
Right?
Still today, do you get that feeling?
No, I live there, so it's fine.
Like, I made it, bro.
Yeah, I know how things work now, and it's very chill to live there.
When's the last time you got that feeling, though? Not in LA, but somewhere else?
New York, for sure. Okay. New York. New York's crazy. Like, New York, I love New York so much. If I might move there at some point. I don't know. I just love New York. It's just the energy in New York is a little different. It's bigger. It's like more fast paced, and it's the only place where like I've ever been like scared on a lineup.
New York's very real
because you get cussed out for calling a euro a gyro or a gyro euro. Yeah. You're just like, I don't know, bro. What's it called? Just tell me. I just want to fucking sandwich.
Because New York is like killers, like a bunch of just killers. Like I'll be on a lineup. I haven't heard of any of these people, and they're all like, I'm like, damn, everybody's good. Yeah. Because in LA, it's like a lot of people. Great scene still, but it's a lot of people doing other things as well. Right. So it's a little easier to stand out in LA, just because you're going up with an actor who whose stand up is not their main thing. So it's easy to fuck that dude up. You know what I'm
saying? James asked a good question. Like, did you ever have a mentor, or do you have one now that or people that you look up to just for like guidance, not even like trying to emulate, but
yeah, I don't think I've ever really had a mentor ever. Joe probably been like the closer of that, just because he'd take me out to places and he give me some like advice, which was nice. But the thing that I think pushed me the most was my group, because we all started the same time. We're all kind of from the same area, and it was healthy competition. Like one would get something, and then none of us would be like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm next.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we just keep, it's like, like horse racing, it's like, oh, we're getting there.
It's your tribe, right?
That's dope.
Yeah. So I think they pushed me the most out of everyone, just because you can see what you can get in real time.
That's so important.
Well, it's amazing now just seeing that group of people.
Yeah.
All of you guys are flourishing.
Yeah. Because we also lift each other up.
Yeah.
He like one person will like get on a TV thing, and then the producer or whatever will ask, hey, do you know anyone that you think would be good for this?
Yep.
And that, like, the other day I shot something for Comedy Central, and I hit up my boy Daoud. I was like, yo, I think they're looking for people. Have your reps hit them up. And then he did, and they were like, yeah, we'll have him on. So, and then we taped on the same day, which was like cool.
Now we're just chilling.
You know?
It's how we started. The boys are back.
Yeah, it's like we're all like helping each other.
Yeah.
It's
so like speaking of that, like that's so awesome. I'm reading this book right now called Tribe of Millionaires, and I'm not all the way through it yet, but it's very much exactly what you're talking about, like the law of influence and the law of like multiplying, right? Like what you said, like you did the show or someone else does a show, and then they need someone else. Oh, hit my boy up or whatever. It's awesome. So Tribe of Millionaires, that's a sick book for anyone to read.
okay. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah. So you said you you talked to the manager.
Oh yeah.
And so then
He hooked me up with one of like the best shows in LA, and then that night he was like, hey, film it tonight, just so I can have it on the record or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if I have time. I'm about to be next. He's like, just do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Then I was just like, you got to do it because I got to go up.
You want this to be done? Film it.
So I was like, here's my phone. Here's the passcode. Just film it. And then we filmed it. Had a great set. He's like, okay, send that to me tonight. And then I sent it to him. And then he's like, we're going to send it to Corden, the booker Corden, see if we could get notes to maybe do it next year. So we sent him my clip, and we were like, hey, this is Andrew. He's like new to LA. Like, if you could give us notes, what he can work on, so we can submit again next year. And then the booker emails back, was like, nah, he's good. Yeah, he was just like, it was crazy. He was just like, yeah, just do this one. Because we sent him like an 11-minute set, which had like a bunch of jokes. And then he was like, just do this one, this one, this one, this one. And then.
Is that normally how it goes? Like your rep or your people are putting you out there, and they're just saying, let me get feedback so I can get you on. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, for the most part, I think. I don't really know sometimes. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's
like,
just out there.
He call, tell me when I got to be
there.
there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have yeah, I mean, for this one, it was. I think a lot of people go back and forth.
Okay.
But mine was very easy, and I think it's because I knew I wanted to do late night for a very long time. Like, that was one of my early goals, was to do late night. So I think I crafted a late night set before I even
got the opportunity.
Before I even got on. So when I sent it in, they were like, yeah, this is already ready for late night. And then they gave me a date, or they kept pushing the date. They were like, we'll have them on in June, and then they were like, we can't, we'll have them on in July. And then they're like, we can't, we'll have them on in August. And then one time they were just like, he's not big enough. Like, because I had zero. I had I had nothing. I was nobody. And then they were like, yeah, he doesn't have anything. We can't really like promote him like that. And then I think someone just dropped.
Dropped off?
Yeah, so one of the comics like dropped or something. Because then they hit me up the week before, like the Wednesday before, or like and was like, hey, can he come in next week? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I just moved to LA.
Dude, this all ties into every other podcast that we've had too.
Yeah.
It's like
it is
Bobby, like, right, flying out to Mr. Beast. This is the moment you got to do it. Yours is that you had the show out here, and that's kind of with you didn't have like. So what is he? Do you still work with that?
Yeah, he's my manager.
So
now.
he's your manager now, right? So he found you during that show, right? Saw you, and then he came out to the other show in LA, and then he's like, "Film this." You're like, "No, you're filming it." So at that moment, you're like, "He's your manager now." Like,
it took
unofficially.
Unofficially, we were like talking. He would help me out because I didn't live in LA for like another 6 or 7 months after that. So I moved to LA the week before I did Corden. I just like. Just packed up my stuff and just like went because I didn't want to like miss it, you know?
Right.
Because we were looking at apartments for like a long time, and they would always do the weird thing where, because I lived in here, so I was like trying to get apartments, and it wasn't the easiest to get there to like look at an apartment. And there was always that thing where like, hey, we would schedule like to see the apartment, and then they would be like, okay, cool, come in Monday, and then I'd be start driving from the Bay on Monday, and be like, hey, I'm on the way. They're like, oh, it's gone already. It's like, come on, bro.
Jesus.
Like, do that they did that so many times.
Right.
But then luckily I got one moved, and then did Corden, and then after that he signed me like a few months before that. Like when we knew I was gonna do Corden,
he locked you in.
He locked me in.
Yeah. So how important is that to you and your success, having now a manager to run those things? Like you're saying, like, I don't know what he does. Like just send out my shit and tell me when to show up, because like I think that's huge in our line of business too, is having that somebody that's, you know, either an agent that is under you to help show houses or do something like that, like making your business so much, your brand behind you, right? To scale up, to get bigger. Like how important, right?
You don't know how to do
exactly. How important is that for you right now? In your
right now, I think he's very important, but not in the way you'd like think.
Right.
Like yes, he does deals and stuff like that, and he negotiates all whatever, and that's great, but he has my best interest in mind, and he's more of like a friend than he feels like more like a friend, family than.
That's a great manager.
Yeah, because he's super cool. He helps me with like life stuff. Yeah. Like he was always keeping me in check. He's always like telling me to do things, which I like. I like direction. Yeah, because I just need to, because I when I go at things, I have a general like idea, but I'm always like I'm always second guessing myself. So, but once someone is like, this is what you're doing it a little bit wrong, just tweak it, and then I'm like, okay, we're good. Right. We're gonna thrive.
So he's also like a coach plus
he's
manager,
the best. Because I'll go into, because when you start getting stuff, you're just put in these weird situations all the time that you never would prepare for ever. Right. Like I would be getting meetings with like execs from, you know, just production companies like Netflix, like stuff, random shit, you know, and he would sit me down. He would give me a call and be like, hey, they're going to ask you this, this, and this. Make sure you prepare these answers. He wouldn't give me answers, but he would be like, hey, just keep this in mind. Right. They're going to be asking you about this part of your life. They're going to be asking. So that's very nice. Right. Like, I love that
be
part
a little
of it.
Prepared, right?
Because if I would go, because I've always been bad at job interviews. Always.
Same.
I don't think I've ever gotten a job.
I've never gotten a job.
I've never gotten a job off an interview ever. I've always gotten a job just through friends.
I've never gotten a job off an interview.
Yeah.
Ever. I hated it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I started real estate. I was trying to find an internship. It's like, I hate this. Resume, interviewing, like this is the worst. Like they think I'm nothing. I can't really show my talents or anything. Right. All I have to do is talk to them.
James, what was the one you told me you would be a CEO?
They asked me what's my ideal position in the company. I was like, I want to be the CEO. They're like, are you sure that's a lot of responsibility? I'm like, no, like, I don't care. That's what I want. That's what I want to be.
They're like, sir.
And I didn't get that job, and I was like, I'm done with it.
Time out.
Yeah,
what company?
Yeah, they're like,
this
sir.
is Genentech. This is at the Genentech office.
What a move, though. What a move.
Like, I'm
that's crazy, bro. That's a move, though. Just imagine going into Facebook, looking at Mark Zuckerberg's eyes.
Yeah.
I want your job.
Like, I'm coming for you.
So, and then I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. They looked at me crazy.
Yeah, that's
and I think I was like,
I think if you would have done it a couple more times, you might.
I don't even know what I was really interviewing for.
Yeah. They're like, dude, we're trying to get you a janitor job.
It literally was probably something like that. It was an internship for engineering.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I would have hired you, dude.
So funny.
That happened. You can use that as one of your materials. So then, late show.
Crush
you have
it.
this manager. You're crushing it. How did Jo Koy? Jo Koy.
So I met Joe at an all Filipino show. He just like popped in at the show just randomly. He does that. He just pops in shows like if it's Filipino.
He's tapped into the culture.
Yeah,
he's like that. He's putting on.
He'll just pop in whenever. Yeah. And I got lucky. Where one of the trips before I had moved, I met Joe. He walked in like right before my set, And then he was like, hey, I like you. Like, you're very funny. We'll go hang out at the bar and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, bro, come open for me on Tuesday at Comedy Magic Club. And I think the show was on a Saturday. And I was going back to the Bay to work at a preschool on Monday. So I was like, oh, man. So,
oh, man, I got the kids,
man. Kids.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I got back into work on Monday, and I was like, hey, can I, like, dip out early on Tuesday? And he was like, yeah, it's fine. And then so I drove to Hermosa Beach, which is farther in LA. It's like, instead of like a 5-6 hour drive, it's like a 7-hour drive. And then I leave the preschool, I get dressed, I drive to Hermosa and open for him for like 5 minutes, and then crushed it. Ended up being able to work the club after that night. But after the show, I hung out for like maybe like 20 minutes at the bar with them. I drove right back to the Bay Area.
Bro, that is nuts.
to get back to dodgeball.
To literally, yes.
Dude, that's
to literally play with the kids. And then I didn't even sleep. I went straight from the car, put on my uniform, or just like my work clothes, and then teach preschool right after I got off.
Did anyone at the preschool know why you were leaving early and the next day? Like,
No.
did they know you did that?
They knew I did stand up, but
I mean, for Jo Koy, like that one day, like I drove all the way down here. I basically banged out 24 hours, and
no, I didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
It wasn't on my mind. I was just like, I'm
so
tired.
tired?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. And then, so then Joe, me and him became cool after that. And then it was crazy because I did Corden, and then I had a viewing party that night because it airs at 1 a.m. after you do it. And we had a big party at my apartment that had no furniture at all. There was zero.
Best way, nothing gets
I
fucked
think it was just an air mattress. Exactly. Yeah, we didn't have anything. It was we had a TV, just the TV, just so we can watch
The important stuff.
Yeah. And then we had a party at my house where we watched the whole thing, and then I was super hungover. I get a call in the morning from Joe and was like, hey, I'm doing a Netflix thing and I want you to be a part of it. And I had just got done with Corden. I was
just
like,
off this high, and then it's just like,
I was just, I was like, whoa, all right, yeah, I'm down. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we shot that in January of 2020.
Did he tell you where it was going to be out the gate?
No.
So when did you find out you were flying
So I got the offer in the email.
to the mainland?
Yeah, they were like, here, Netflix sent me like a paperwork, and we're like, oh, you need your passport. I was like, oh.
Where am I going?
oh, do I?
Did you have a passport at the time?
No. No.
First time back, or first time at the going to the Philippines?
I went when I was like 10.
Okay.
10 years old.
Yeah.
But first time as an adult.
As an adult.
Which was very fun.
How was that?
It was so much fun.
How much time did you spend there for the
11
special?
days. 11 days.
Was that?
Cool.
I mean, Philippines, like with Jo Koy, like what's that
Yeah,
experience?
is he a rock star there?
Yeah, he got, well, when we were there, he got like the Hollywood equivalent of the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, really?
When we were there,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So that leg of the tour was, I think it was towards the end. Yeah, it was towards the end because it was the special, and then he did 2 more shows in the Philippines where he did a massive arena and then got his star, and then we left. I left the day before, which
Was there like a whole
Very
Asia
thankful.
tour for that?
for some of us.
Okay.
Like I was only on the Philippines one,
Got it.
but I think before the other people that he was with, they were in like Dubai or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that whole thing was crazy. He's a rock star at that, dude. Like
I bet.
we were filming like one of the dance choreo scenes in the show, and at the end of shooting, Joe was just like, turn off the cameras. I don't want anybody to film this. We're in this like hood ass like tenement, which is basically like, I don't know if you've seen Judge Dredd, but it's like one of those big like Blade Runner, you know, it's like a big apartment where it's just a slum.
Yeah,
you know?
right,
Like
yeah.
it's like it's one big apartment complex where the city was basically like, hey, you can't live here. Like we're gonna demolish the building. Get out. So they cut the power, cut the water. So when you look at it, it's just like a bunch of people siphoning electricity. There's a well at the bottom of the street where you see people with carts just packing up water and bringing it to their families. Some of the apartments have turned into like corner stores. So it's just like apartment like 3A is where you get like the booze and
just took over this.
Yeah, they took over.
Yeah.
They can't do anything. And then there's like a bunch of chickens on the roof. It's crazy. But that night we were done filming and Joe was like, turn off the cameras. And all the kids, he's like, all the kids get out. And it was like 100-something kids. And they all like came down to like the basketball court. We were all kicking it out. And then Joe just pulls out stacks and was just like,
no way.
Here's pesos to every single kid. And like none of the cameras were on. He just did it just because he wanted to.
That's sick.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Right.
What a legend. You love to hear those stories.
Yeah,
you know?
he's so nice.
That's so
the nicest guy.
That's epic.
So what do you feel like you learned from those opportunities?
Joe's a very humble guy. I feel like I'll take that. Like, he's always very low key about things. Like, he's big on social media, but when it's like cameras off, he's like so cool and he's nice to everybody. Like, that's what I think I like to take from that. Is just like, I just want to be the nicest person to like everybody. Because when you're nice to like everybody, they're happy and that makes you happy. It's like, oh, it's so great.
I think that's the best thing that you could have probably said, you know?
Yeah.
Like, to go, the trajectory you're on, the things that you're doing, and then to have that, understanding that the most important thing in life is to just be kind to others. You're not, your answer wasn't, oh, I got to do this to make X amount of money, right? It just shows your true character of who you are. So, like, dope, bro. That's sick as fuck.
Thank you.
Let's go.
So what's going on now? Like, what do you got going on?
Just trying to do another late night. I think we're getting that ready. Start a new podcast. That one's very fun. That we're trying to like
Is that the
pitch
meter?
The meter, right?
The meter. That one was really fun.
So,
what's the deal with that?
yeah, what's the premise?
So,
like, how deep in it are you?
So I would play this game like on long car rides, because I don't know if you know this. There's a data IMDb.
Yes.
There's a database that ranks every celebrity if they've ever done in Hollywood. Like if they've ever done TV and film, they have a specific unique number of where they're placed in the industry. So like,
who's won?
What's that?
well, you want to play it? Who do you think it is? We just see who it is.
Is this the game you play?
This
is the game.
phone.
I have the database on my phone.
This is the game. The meter.
Yeah. Well,
this number one.
This is a very condensed.
Is it like
version
in real time, like number one right
so
now?
the scores change every Monday depending on if someone's like done anything. So it's like it's kind of like who's the most famous person right now.
Right now.
And
So
everyone
right
has a
now
number.
only. So
Right
it's not
at
like
this
Michael
moment.
Jackson or like Prince. Like that's not.
No, it's right now at
Right
this
now.
very moment. Like who do you think it is?
That's a tough one. It's TV and film.
Yeah, but yeah,
It's any entertainer.
yeah.
I mean, Kim Kardashian's got to be up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, okay.
maybe like
Like
The
I'm-
Rock, like The Rock or like.
I'm at 240,000. That's my spot.
That's your spot.
Yeah. But there's the database is out of like 12 million, so I'm not doing bad.
No, you're not doing that.
You know what I'm saying?
240, baby. Let's get it.
Out of 12 million,
shirt.
Yo, the Rock would be a good,
The Rock would be good.
but he hasn't
Rock
anything
maybe
recent.
like-
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Somebody that's at the top of the headlines of everything. Does that count?
Yeah, it's
like
it's a
Kanye
lot.
is at the top of everybody's headlines in the moment. But it's probably not the best, but he's definitely up there.
So Dwayne The Rock Johnson is at 213.
Wow. How are we gonna figure this out if he's at 213?
Where's Kevin?
Kevin Hart?
Yeah,
Let's see.
he's
Kevin Hart is at a solid 1,521. Yeah.
Him and The Rock are gonna fight about that.
Yeah.
Who's top five?
Top 5?
Who's top five?
I'm gonna. I think it
Give us
is
5 through 2.
Okay,
We'll have
5
to
through 2.
guess
Okay,
them.
Yeah.
okay, that's great. Okay, I like that.
This is no longer Together We Rise. This is the meter.
Yeah, but this is like a kind of the podcast it expands on this game, like we do different categories but the first whatever is always so actors. So at number 2, Kirstie Alley.
Who's that?
Oh, she just passed away.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
That's
okay.
That's right.
3, Emma Myers.
Okay.
4, Christina Ricci. 5, Gwendolyn Christie.
How does any of this make sense
6,
right
Ricky Lindholm. It makes sense if you like
understand the algorithm?
If you're like in the industry, you kind of get it right now.
Why is Christina Ricci number 3?
Because that show that she's on right now, that's really popping.
Okay.
What
I guess I don't watch enough TV.
show is that?
Wednesday.
Okay,
Oh,
that's the
that's
girl.
right.
I was gonna say
okay.
that's the show, but I didn't know that was her name.
I had the flu, not COVID, like 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I
You watched the whole thing?
Okay, so Wednesday, she's crushing it.
Okay, so
number 1 would be
It's got to be Wednesday.
yeah.
What's her?
she's number 1.
She's number
What's
one.
her name? In
Jenna Ortega.
That's the girl. Okay, I was like, that's not the girl's name on Wednesday.
So this is every Monday.
Every Monday
the
it'll
set.
change.
original Wednesday was
Christina
Ricci.
Ricci.
and
But she's also
in
in the show. Yeah, so everybody who's that show is so hot right now.
Yeah.
Isn't Catherine Zeta?
This makes sense.
Yeah, she's there. She's not in the top. Oh, she's top 12.
Because she's in the show, right?
She's in the show. Yeah, it's the top.
Who's last?
15. One of our friends. Anyone? I mean, I have friends. One of my friends was on there. Was like 11 million. I was like, damn.
Damn, bro. She gonna get in these
Your numbers
200,000s. Yeah, get your numbers up, bro. If you're not in the 200,000s, don't talk to me, bro.
But yeah, that's pretty much the podcast. We like expand on it. We do categories, and it's like it's a game show.
It's a game show.
Yeah.
It's very
The
very
meter.
big. Yeah,
That's fire.
it's very. And we're
I was
trying to
already
pitch it
just
right now to the network.
enticed right now. I was fully ready to play a whole.
Because I used to play it in the car. We'd like see if we could get number 1.
So you made this up. So you're sitting there just looking on IMDb, and then you're like trying to guess. So you made up a whole fucking.
I would just play that in the car, and then I'd play it on Twitch, and then it just evolved into this like thing, and now it's like an actual pod. We have a producer and stuff, like a little studio we do it in, and we're trying to pitch it to a network.
Dope.
So
Nice.
So that's the next.
That
big
hopefully,
move.
yeah, I think that's what we're trying.
That's a cool
to
project.
do.
That's sick, actually.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Do you think, like, I guess they look at, I guess they look at this list or is there like a code that you have to crack to try to get to the top to get noticed more to like have a better shot at being on shows?
Do something tight on TV.
Yeah.
It's mostly just like if you have a good TV show out.
Right.
Because when you have a TV show, movies, you'll be hot for like that day or
Right.
that week
Right.
just because your movie came out. But TV shows you could binge at home, so more people are seeing it and you could watch it more. So people are looking at it, clicking your profile more.
Makes sense.
The meter means
always in
nothing.
front of them,
It
yeah.
really doesn't mean anything unless you're like. I mean, I like to tell myself that.
Unless you're in the 200,000s. Like if you're below 200,000, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah. So I'm just like, if you're 300,000, I probably shouldn't look at the meter.
Yeah, but it's just like it doesn't mean anything. You don't gain anything. You don't get paid from it. It's just like.
But the ones that are on top are probably getting paid.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
you're getting paid from the work you're doing.
doing
This
exactly.
is just like a thing that you get.
Let's measure clout, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the clout
yeah,
meter.
But like if you're, trying to put a show together or something like that, like you're a big production company or whatever, I'm sure you're probably looking at the list and like, oh, this person's hot. Like
Let's
this
go
is
get them
Sure.
to
right?
Yeah,
would they
yeah.
fit this role or whatever,
Right.
yeah.
Because in reality, the IMDb is a very just good resource to.
For sure.
Like you can find like my management, all my people's contacts are on there. So if you're like clicking on my page, if you see me in something, you're like, oh, I want that guy. How do I get a hold of him? You just go there. That's all really people use it for.
I think that's
Like
pretty
your
sick.
LinkedIn, bro.
Does
It is. It's kind of like
do
LinkedIn.
background music video people get on IMDb?
Yeah,
'Cause
if you
Blaine.
list
You
it,
might
I
be
might
on
be
there,
in
dude.
there.
Look up Blaine.
do you want to
Check
see if
if I'm
he's
on
on
there.
there.
If I am on there,
Watch you be like-
I don't think I'm on there. I don't.
If you've done anything and you've listed it, then
I don't know if I've listed it
yeah, then
You got to
have
get on there, dude.
because
You have to sign any? You have to sign
90% of
No,
the
you can make your own
90% of the time I'm going up there because the producer is my buddy, and I just hop in.
All right, are you any of these ones? There's a lot of Blaine.
Actor, End of the World, no,
Is that the only 4?
Oh, yeah.
no, I didn't make it.
Sorry, dude. Get your profile up.
I'm a loser. Safe to say I'm a loser.
Yeah.
Get your profile up.
Gotta get
Yeah.
back in the industry, dude.
This brother Blaine Johnson's just really taking over, man.
No, you don't understand that. Like when I saw you at that restaurant, that like made my whole month.
No way.
I was just like lonely in LA, you know. And I was like, oh, nice.
That's a friendly face.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
At that time, you probably had already worked your way up in LA to like.
Oh, I was touring and like was established and like, but that's something that me and you kind of always like bounce these things off each other later on in life. Obviously, we're bros, you know, growing up in high school. You know, you're younger than me, but you're always like somebody I would look out for. If anything went down, I would have your back. So, but older that we got, me and you related because of
with music and comedy aren't
coincide,
that different.
Especially the way that we're trying to do it. Like you were trying to alley-oop me with that how you were getting booked. Like, bro, you should try this out, and me just not capitalizing on it. Like I should have somehow.
Because I remember I started doing college tours.
Right.
And that made crazy money.
Right. Yeah.
And then I would do these college tours where in order to do them, you have to like showcase in front of like all the schools, which is basically just a bunch of acts perform for a bunch of 12-year-olds, and then they're in charge of your whole entire year. Just crazy. Because it's like this thing called like NACA, where you perform in front of like representatives of schools, and it's all just kids like 18 to like 20 who are just learning how to like run a business.
Yeah, it's like the head of the frats, right?
Yeah, and they're just like we're trying to get into like an event planning or something,
right.
And so their job is to watch.
They're practicing on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're in charge of my money, and it's very frustrating a lot of the time. I would go to these showcases, and then I would see like these like rappers and musicians. I was like, Blaine's better than these guys.
Yeah.
And I should have. I just didn't. At that point in time, like I was just so focused on like more so realistically helping the people that I was helping. Right. I was like the right hand guy for like Swayze at that time, right? Or Cam Meekins, and like, so I think I was just like so focused on that, but like. For me, I should have been selfish maybe in that moment and gone and done that, and then it would have been me going out to do my shows, right?
Yeah, and then I mean it's fine, but I was just like Blaine could probably do this. So I hit you up with somebody, I think, and
So like just that journey, you throwing me the alley-oop, I was like, we always had that like connection, just like how do we?
And we still are like in a way connected. I did
100%.
your friend's girlfriend's show
like
the other week.
You did Lauren Quinn's, right? So my buddy Cam Meekins again.
Yeah. His girl is a stand-up comedian.
So she's an actor, stand-up comedian.
And she ran a show at this club, and then she hit me up, not knowing that we knew each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she's gonna say that she didn't know, but she probably didn't put it together. But she's like, oh, I'm doing a comedy thing, and I literally, you could probably go on the post before, and I said, put Andrew Orolfo and Mark Smalls on your next show. Like you're missing out if you don't do it. Like, and I was telling her, and then sure enough, Mark did one, and then you did one, or vice versa. And I was like, oh, you listen to me? She's like, oh no, I just found these people. I was like,
you planted the seed.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was just like, because anytime I see something, I'm gonna vouch for my guys. Like you said, like if I see an opportunity, because I don't do comedy, but if I know so many people in LA, I have so many connections. It's like if I see something dope, put my boys on. I'm gonna do that. Just randomly sitting there scrolling through Instagram,
right?
Like
the music community and the comedy community, they always like somehow work together,
right?
Like in weird ways. Like I open for rappers a lot, and then sometimes rappers will open for comedy shows or like be in the middle. It's very interesting.
Well, it's like
that makes sense though.
Yeah, Jo Koy's bringing out
Pilo.
Oh yeah,
and even
Boys
dancers,
Boys to Men's last one.
Jabberwockies, like he's like,
I've met Boys to Men.
Yeah,
That's pretty lit.
Yeah, so they're like best friends, Boys to Men and Joe. So they came to a lot of the shows, and Joe likes to do this thing where Joe kind of like makes comedy shows a little like Coachella.
Sick.
Where he'll like at the end after everything he likes to sing.
Yeah.
So he'll be like,
And he's Filipino.
Yeah. He loves to sing. So but then he'll also bring out like Boys to Men at the end.
He just randomly bring out
Yeah, he'll just randomly like
groups of all time.
We were in Vegas for his birthday, and he got this like rented out this hookah lounge, and it was like Joey Fatone showed up and sung. I was like, this is cool. And then I went out the next day, went to a thrift store, saw a Joey Fatone shirt, and I was like, I'll buy that.
You'll buy it. That's my boy.
I met him once.
That's fucking hilarious.
Let me ask you this: like, what's your goal? Like, you know, when you, because a lot of people that come on here, they always have like these, you know, maybe a 10-year or 5-year goal.
Sure.
Where do you kind of see yourself?
So the way I work is I set up small goals. I don't have like, right now I don't have like a really big goal. I just like, I'm in comedy, you're always just trying to reach for like the next thing, because you never know when it's going to happen.
Got it.
Like, because sometimes I've been like scared. I'm like, oh God, I haven't done anything in a minute. Like,
We feel that every day.
yeah, it's the same.
It's like you
it's
sell a house and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
do the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, yeah, I did Gordon, and I was like, oh God, what's next? And this is something I have to be better about. I think a lot of us do, is to just really enjoy the W's.
Right.
I know I say I
like
have
that.
to, but I'm probably not going to.
Sure.
Just because that's not how my brain or rent money works. So I have to consistently just like reach for the next thing. So I'm always like, okay, what is obtainable right now? Like when I did Corden, I was like, and then I got the Joe thing, and then after Joe, I was like, okay, the next thing I see what people are doing and that are doing well are Comedy Central, like YouTube sets. I was like, oh, I want that. That's good. That's achievable. And then I got that, and then Don't Tell Comedy, which is dope. They do basically speakeasy shows at different venues, not non-alcoholic, so it's BYOB, and it's so dope. They started doing like digital stuff. I was like, I want to do that.
Nice.
That's good. And then this year I was like, oh, I want to do JFL, which JFL is like the biggest comedy festival in the world.
Where's that at?
Montreal.
Okay.
And then my goal was like, okay, let's make a set that'll do well, and that might get me new faces.
Right.
And new faces is the equivalent to XXL freshman mixtape.
Yep.
And then I got that this year. Then I was like, okay.
You got
So
new
these are all
faces.
things that were your goals that you've done.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So I always set up these like obtainable goals. Like, of course, like I guess the biggest goal would be like, let's get a Marvel movie.
Right.
You know, I mean, everybody wants.
That's what I was gonna ask. So like
Yeah.
now it's crushing at comedy. Obviously, you know, you're the top freshman 10. You know, basically of comics.
Yeah.
Acting. Like, do you want to parlay?
Yeah, I would love to do that. Like, I do auditions all the time.
Dope. Okay.
Haven't gotten anything.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Right.
If you want to get Poly on the list, you got
For real. But yeah, get something like that. That's like what I'm working on now. It's like get a small thing, get a small role, you know. And then voiceover. I've been getting into voiceover. Get a cartoon. You know, or now my main goal is like do another late night and like get this podcast popping.
Okay.
Because right now with this digital age, it's like you kind of just got to do everything yourself.
Right.
And your Instagram is sick. Like, you know, you've been doing. I peeped it the other day, and you've been doing kind of like the reels with the captions, like what everyone's doing right now, right?
Right.
I think your first one was like in January of 2022,
Something like that.
with the captions and everything, with like a profile still. So I mean, it looks really professional and dope. So like you've been kind of not ahead. I mean, a little bit of ahead of the game. Killing it on there. So, I mean, do you have like someone that does that for you? Do you do it yourself?
So I edit my own clips, and then I hate listening to it, so I don't like to do the captions.
Right.
So I'll send it to like my editor, and
Nice.
he'll do the captions. Shout out Dan Castellaggio out in Chicago.
Dope.
He's a great editor, and then he'll send it back to me, and then I'll post.
No. Yeah, you're killing it on Instagram for
Thank
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dope. So I mean, anything else that you kind of want to promote? Something you got coming up that you want to get off your community, to your fans, to the people that are tapped in?
Just check out the Meter podcast. It's very fun. You can play along at home, and we want to end up doing like live shows and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like sets, like you're renting out places and like
and just playing
like
the game
wilding
there.
out.
Yeah, just have fun with it.
Sick.
Yeah.
The meter. Go check it out right now, and that's YouTube is where you're posting everything.
YouTube,
right?
Spotify, Apple, Google. What's the other one?
That's everybody. That's what we
Amazon.
use. Amazon.
And then your Instagram is
at Andrew_Orolfo.
It'll be right here somewhere. It'll be right here, right there. But bro, hey, again, your family. Anytime you want to come up here, you know it's good, bro.
Oh, this is a lot of fun.
Anytime you're welcome. You want to pull up, you're in the bay. You just want to hang out, shoot some hoops downstairs, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
This is your home too. We appreciate you, man.
This studio is crazy.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is good. You already like do the rental stuff. Why don't you just rent this out?
That's a great question.
Just rent this out. I'm sure people around here need a podcast studio.
Yeah.
Well,
charge them for this.
Yeah, that's
you heard it. Yeah. You want to rent this out? I think we'll talk.
Hey, this is better than 90% of the stuff I've done. This is crazy. I feel like I'm in like
that's high praise. This guy's
like. Do we just do like different backdrops?
Yeah. Or we just leave that up there so they promote us.
Yeah, you could leave that, or you could have them bring in their own.
Yeah, bring
shit
their own,
and
right?
Hang it.
Right?
Yeah.
I like it,
My
man.
guy.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Yeah,
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Andrew Orolfo. Tap in if you're not. This guy's the new face of
Follow him,
comedy.
listen to him. Laugh
Let's
for
go.
him.
Together we rise. We're out.